I'm sorry, I don't mean to walk.
I actually hide behind.
All right, guys, listen to fantastic information about junk luggers, please.
You want to start?
Okay, so first of all, thanks so much for having us out today.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a lunch provided as well from Kaziki's, which is right over here. Hope you guys enjoy it. My name is Brian Chalmers. I'm the business development specialist. This is Chris, the franchise owner.
Nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you. I'll give us a little backstory of the company first, and then we'll kind of talk about what we could do. And we're looking for local partners just like you guys every day, and that's why we're here today. I'll start with our mission statement. So our mission is to enhance lives, our communities, and the environment by donating, recycling, and supporting local charities. That's one of our main focuses while we're here in the St. John's area. I'm in a B&I group as well. So we've teamed up and partnered with several other local charities and organizations around here. And that's something that's really close to Chris and I's heart as well. You want to touch on that for a quick second?
Sure, yeah. So a lot of the charities that we are donating to obviously are people in need. I'm actually working with a partnership for, if anybody's familiar with like V Pizza, V for Victory. I'm actually working with a partnership with them right now. We've done some work for them and we just started talking. And surprisingly, you know, V for Victory, they provide lots of meals to families, but come to find out they actually have a lot of families that are in need of furniture as well, or even just removal of stuff. So I'm actually working with that partnership right now as well and getting that kicked off. So we're constantly growing our partnerships, and you know what, we've been around, the company Junk Luggers has been around since 2004. We're very new in this market. Opened it in May of 2000 of actually this year. So we're very new, but it's growing exponentially with our partnerships and what we're able to do and provide for the company and for everybody else. So one of the only eco-friendly, our goal by 2025 is to keep everything that's salvageable out of the landfills and be able to give everything back to families in need, people in need, whatever the case may be. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
It's a big goal. I mean, keeping everything out of a landfill by 2025 is a very big goal, but that is what we're striving for. And you obviously aren't very familiar with it, but if you notice a lot of other competitors, all they do is dump everything. They trash everything. We're very strategic in how we do it. We make sure we are, when we're pulling stuff, junk, furniture, whatever the case may be, we're separating it into, okay, this is going to this recycling, this is going to this thrift store, this is going to this charity. So that's our goal on how we're planning to continue to move forward and grow with the junk luggers. I kind of started talking a little bit more about everything else, but go ahead, Brian.
A little bit about our history of the company. So we've been around since 2004. Started up in the Northeast, up in Connecticut, very successful franchise. Like I mentioned before, Chris opened up the franchise this past springtime. We definitely saw a need here in the St. John's area and the Northeast Florida. We serve Duval counties, St. John, Bay Meadows, Mandarin, San Marco, Fruit Cove. And you could always call or text me, you know, the area code, and like you mentioned, the refrigerator. And we could also just kind of see where you're at. Depending on our truck schedule, that's how we schedule everything out accordingly. But I'll jump into that here in a little bit as well. Licensed, insured, and we have uniforms, all of our junk luggers, which you'll see too on the jobs. We're very professional. We take pride in how we present ourselves to customers. All that stuff really means a lot to not only us, but to the customers too, as you guys are face-fronting customers day in, day out.
Let me jump in there real quick, you know, and I want to just really stress the professionalism that we provide and the customer service that we provide. We really pride ourselves in making sure that we look good. Just because it's junk, people don't want, and you guys know this, your customers don't want trashy people in their house. They just don't. You know, so we deal with Ponte Vedra Beach, you know, Nocatee, Sawgrass. Like you can't go into these houses looking like garbage. You know, I'm very candid with this. Like, and I stress to my guys, like, you have to be professional. But you'll see, like, you can take a look at our website. We've only been around since May. We've got 47 Google reviews, all 5 stars. We have customers that repeat. We just had a guy scheduled for the 5th time with us in like 3 months. He started with us 3 months ago, 5th time he's using us.
What kind of junk does he
He's one of those transplants from
He's a
Connecticut that
hoarder.
came down and just
Exactly, yeah.
paid cash with, what he sold in Connecticut. He lives in Julington Lakes. But he's, and those houses in there are new houses, but he's re-renovating everything. So he calls us literally about every 3 weeks right now, and we just pick up a full truck of junk. By junk, I mean, he literally gave away brand new outdoor furniture.
Can you call me?
I'm gonna say there may or may not be a set of outdoor furniture in my backyard. I will say that. So, so I'm not ashamed to say that.
There are
'cause-
benefits.
You deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But go ahead, Brian. I just kind of want to talk about the customer service. and the
I'm gonna throw
professional.
out some stats that our company has this found over the years. Over 11 million tons of recyclable clothing, shoes, and textiles make their way into landfills each and every year. The US throws away 11.4 billion worth of recyclable containers and packaging every year. Furniture is the #1 least recycled item in a household. EPBA reported that furniture accounted for 9.8 million tons of household waste. So obviously, everywhere in the US, there's a need, but especially here in this area as well. How we work, we typically have a 2-hour arrival window. Like, for example, I just booked a job for Friday. She's 3rd on the list, but we gave her a 2-hour window. Depending on how the first 2 jobs go, we give this little grace time, just like a moving company, right? And typically, when we always say a time, we're always there. And we do an excellent job in communication with the customer the day before and the day of, with emails and then call ahead as well. So communication is one of the keys to our success, just to be upfront with them too. If anything happens, we'll let them know.
Let me add to that. So an average customer is touched, when I say touched, email, phone, text 6 times before we actually even show up. So we know for a fact, they know for a fact, customers know for a fact when we will be showing up. And we give calls 15 to 30 minutes out so they know that we are on the way. So they're ready for us.
No surprises, like Chris said, we'll be in communication with you guys and then your customers as well. No obligation, free estimate. Typically, one of us will go out there or ask for pictures. That way, we'll give you a good idea and a good quote on what the actual cost may be. We'll go to the next slide. And then our process, of course, we handle the furniture and the junk with care, just like Chris said, the way we show up professional. We'll handle it very professional and to the top to our ability.
Let me again add to that, just because in what we really strive in letting my crew know is like, just because your customer is throwing it away, they don't want you treating their junk like trash. They don't. So, okay, yes, we don't want this desk, but don't just toss it up in the truck and watch it go into pieces because you were just too lazy to just lift it all the way in there. People really want their stuff to be taken care of. I mean, a lot of these they have a lot of emotional attachment to this stuff.
We actually keep a lot of contracts on desks, right? So we respect desks.
Oh, yeah. Desks are a very big commodity for sure. Go ahead. I just wanted to add that.
Like, for example, if someone passes and we have a spouse or loved one passes away, it's a very tough time, a very emotional time. So we respect that and just really be patient and work with the customer as much as we can. We understand what they're going through. It happens a lot. We'll look to donate it to local charities, like we mentioned before. We also look to recycle it as well as we can too. So a couple ideas to kind of give you the picture of what we do with the junk. The furniture, the mattresses, the clothes and the shoes, and the e-waste. Those are kind of our staples, I would say. And then with that, we have, I guess there's charities that, along with it. With the furniture, we'll always look to have Restore, Habitat and Humanity with Restore. With the mattresses, we have, what does that say there?
Alpha Omega. Is anybody familiar with Alpha Omega? Okay, so we have partnered with them as well for partnerships. So Alpha Omega is a charity for women and children that have been part of like domestic violence. So we've partnered with them to be able to give them furniture as well. The Betty Griffin Center, everybody's familiar with Betty Griffin, and even like the Spectrum thrift store right up here. If anybody knows anything about Spectrum thrift store, they hire a lot of people that are autistic. So we help with those charities as well.
Okay, now we're going to talk about our truck. It's actually the size of the industry standard truck is 16 cubic yards. So kind of picture how big that is. And that's
So just, yeah, so picturing it is like a small 1-bedroom, and it's hard to see, but you might have seen the truck around here.
a truck.
It's, yeah, sorry. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
That's the back end. So a full truck is 16 cubic yards. It's 12 foot long, 8 foot wide, 4.5 tall. So that's the bed of the truck. You can feel like a small 1-bedroom apartment in that. And by small 1-bedroom, you know, a pretty simple person, not with a lot of, you know, knickknacks and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's our typical standard size truck. And it's a little bit bigger than your other competitors that you might see. And everybody's familiar with Got Junk, 1-800 Got Junk, but it's a little bit bigger than that truck there. Brian, anything else to add on that? No?
And we always have at least 2 luggers on the job as well. We have a driver and then an assistant or someone beside him too for any job. Well, and then if it's a bigger job, Chris and I would be happy to help and jump into.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we currently have 2 trucks, constantly growing right now. And, you know, if you're familiar with any type of industry right now, ordering anything is taking forever. My second truck's finally here. I ordered it last year. So it took a minute. So,
So now we'll go into the pricing, how we price. Like I mentioned before, it's how much space it takes up in the truck. For a full truck, which you just saw there, is $600. Okay. And we don't have any pictures to show, but that's kind of how many rooms would that be?
that's like a 1-bedroom apartment, like I said.
Okay.
So a full truck, $600. Our minimum job's $110, which would be like a minimum's like the size of a washer. Does that make sense? So like the size of a washer. And then there's all the increments in between, like a half truck is $400. Where you get the biggest bang is the more volume, the better the value. So if, you know, anyone's going to use us, get all your stuff together at one time. Don't call us 3 times for 3 different
Unless you live
jobs.
in Julington Lakes. And then.
Hey, that dude's my favorite guy. on the planet
This is
right
a
now.
Christmas card.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, so we have all the increments in between. We got the minimum, we've got a 1/8, you know, 1/4, 3/8, all the way to a full size truck. There are some, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to wait for it. I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
ask you, so does it matter, like, in other words, so you say the washer or whatever, for example, you know, does it matter about the weight of the item?
No,
or
it's
anything?
volume.
It's just.
So the only
just the
time-
density of whatever it is.
Yeah, the
Wow.
only time the volume really comes into play is if we're getting a lot of heavy dense material. By that, I mean like construction debris, concrete, yeah, marble, like, you know, real heavy stuff. Because to be able, it costs us more money to get rid of that stuff. You got to take it to a different dump further south. And it just costs more money. But that's what I was going to mention with the volume, the prices of the truck. There can be specific types of surcharges like tires, paint cans, mattresses. There's a little surcharge like $10 a mattress. So there are some surcharges. There's not a lot, but there are some specific things that do have surcharges. Let me see here. What else?
We've got a couple more minutes left, gentlemen, before I
Okay.
gotta get them into training.
Okay. So, okay, I'll go to the slide.
Yeah.
What makes us difference is our green guarantees, on-time arrival, like we mentioned, price assurance, 110% satisfaction, and of course, donation receipts will show up into the job, just like we say, next screen.
Yeah, we'll provide donation street receipts within 14 business days
Oh,
of
that's
the
great.
job. And that's for your customers.
Mhm.
We'll go to the next slide.
Okay. So how can we help you guys? Think about decluttering for staging, someone moving out, inside and outside the house. And believe it or not, one of our top options or priorities are probably hot tubs.
We do a lot of hot tubs.
Believe it or not, you know, people don't know. who
We
to
do a
call
lot of
what to
hot
do with
tubs.
Hot tub.
You have that in your backyard now too?
No, I will not. I will not do that in my
To
backyard.
come in the house and take them out.
We do.
Depending,
Wow.
yeah, if it's a good hot tub, if it's still good working order, we'll try to take it out in one piece and hopefully not break the thing. And we will donate them. We'll get rid of them or literally sell them for like $200, like whatever. But I will say we also do any proceeds I make from that type of thing, I do give 10% back as well to charitable contributions. But like we just did a full deck removal because, you know, it was a house that they're trying to sell. The deck's dilapidated. We completely removed the deck for them. So we do demo work as well. So we do labor only work as well.
That's good to know.
I've
Struck a chord there.
But you know, not
And they're up.
right. So I know, you know, we do labor work as well. We've removed full sheds for houses, the wooden sheds for a house to be ready to be sold. We've removed decks. We removed an in-ground hot tub. So we will do labor work as well with the junk removal as well. It depends on how much volume of the truck, and it also depends on the labor. Yeah. So we did
Not a whole deck isn't gonna be fast.
Right.
well, if it's really bad, it can be pretty
Right.
quick. But it really just depends. So the best thing, a big job, a lot of times I will go out there myself and estimate it and give you an idea. But just to throw out there, I know we're running out of time, so I want to be fast with this. You know, a lot of times your buyers, sellers or whatever might be a little strapped for cash. We've done it to where we've included payments in escrow. So just an idea. It's not my first choice because again, you know, it could take 6 months to close a loan.
Right.
But it's kind of a resort. That's something.
Not with
another
our
tool.
lenders. That's right.
Okay. I was in the mortgage world for 11 years, so you don't have to lie to me. It's cool. But so we can do that. So, and we did a hot tub and a deck removal for a person last week that the mortgage company is going to be paying us, making the payments for us.
Cool.
I know we're running out of time, so I don't want to take any
So
more.
I'll finish up. So think about full house cleanouts, estate sales, again, inside and outside of the house. We can do it all.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of went by.
That's all right. Any questions for us while we have?
So you guys know, I'm gonna put all of this information and their information in the break room so that it's searchable. So that when somebody posts, what do I do? Somebody needs to get rid of this. You can be like, search junk luggers. 'cause
Is there
it's in
anything
here.
that you don't pick up that you absolutely cannot pick up?
Hazardous.
Like
Paint.
Like ex-husbands.
Yeah.
What if they're in the
Well, is that junk removal? I mean,
But there's a premium.
It's toxic.
so yeah, hazardous, mostly things like that explode. This is how I explain it.
Is it your ex-husband? Correct.
What was your question?
I was saying.
Same one, okay.
Any other questions?
The charities that you partner with, do you deliver to them?
We drop off there.
Okay.
We do
Have you ever
drop
heard of Care Portal?
No, but I'd be happy to talk to you about it because I'm,
Yeah.
very interested. I am open to other partners as well. So just because I haven't mentioned it doesn't mean I'm not willing to work with those
Just
other
like
people.
your ex-husband. JK. Thanks.
And we have some brochures and other materials I'll leave behind. Feel free to take it. Business cards, yeah.
Yeah.
And just call me if you have any questions. We're happy to help.
Yeah, we appreciate the time. It's, you know, and I don't want to
Thank
come in
you.
here and sell you guys, like, you're gonna run into somebody that's gonna need the service.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
No.
it happens every
Okay.
day.
Going to?
Just give us the opportunity
Yeah.
and show,
Yeah.
let's show what we can do. That's all we ask.
We're so grateful that you guys came in like
Yeah.
prepared with something to say. Thank you so much for doing that as well.
Yeah, you
And
got
for
one.
lunch, we
That's
appreciate
right.
lunch.
No
Yeah.
problem.
And like I said, I'm gonna put all of y'all's information. We have a private Facebook group and a bunch of other private pages, website pages and things like that, where they access the vendors
Sure.
that we refer or
That bring us
refer. That bring us food, and also that we're aligned with, because we are people before property. We believe in putting the person first.
Right.
And so what you guys are doing is in
Right
alignment
on.
with that, which is why you were a great fit to come in and talk to
Perfect.
us today.
Awesome. Well,
So
thank
we'll be
you.
making sure that all the agents that aren't here, they're gonna be watching the replay, and that aren't gonna be watching the replay, let's be honest, we'll all get your information.
Okay.
We can provide the PowerPoint too,
Sure.
if
That'd
you'd
be
like.
great. You can email
So
it
you
to
can
me.
kind of just slide through it and see exactly what we do.
That's perfect.
Right.
Yeah, you can email it to me.
That's
All
it.
right, y'all.
Thank you.
Giant
Thank you.
hand.
Thank you.
right, Leslie Dow, let's do it.
It's me, Leslie Dow.
Can I start with you?
This is for you. Okay, that was great. This is not mine. Do you need anything from me? Just scream my name if you need me.
No, I'm just gonna just switch this over to a screen share.
Okay.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Super weird. All right, guys, I'm blind and this is not getting bigger. Hey, Erin, I'm sorry, I need you. Make this bigger. With that little thing keeps dropping down and I can't get to it.
What do you mean?
See, when I go up there to try to make the screen the full size, there you go. I couldn't get it to grab. Thank you. All right, guys. So Howard has his name and he's teaching us, but he couldn't be here. So you stuck with me. So real quick, I just want to know how many of you have Homesnap on your phone? Good. Josh is ignoring me. So we're going to talk a little bit about Homesnap. There's a few things. Obviously, it's not going to be on the screen because it's going to be on your phones. And then RPR, for those of you who are used to RPR prior to Homesnap, RPR had a lot of good functions for us, but basically Homesnap has pretty much taken all of that and made it even better for us. So RPR, the app only has one real benefit left. So I'll go through that really quick with you as well. How many of you have used FlowPlan? Awesome. You have a sample of FlowPlan for you. For those of you who don't have it, it is able to be a photo in your MLS, and it is definitely become something that people are looking for. I have a buyer right now who's mad because there isn't a FlowPlan, and she's like used to it now. And I'm like, well, I can't make the agent do it. And then, how many of you know about New Home Source Pro? Okay. We're going to talk about that briefly today too. That has kind of been blah lately. There's not much on it, but the builders have said that they're going to start doing some more spec homes as we go into the first of the year. So we should start seeing some of that. So we'll talk about that briefly. But Howard's new favorite thing is Domus or Domus. I don't know how you say it. Has anybody looked at this yet? Domus.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now we have Domus.
We have Domus. So this is going to kind of replace the InfoSparks in my mind. It's actually better and a little easier to use. So we're going to start with this because I feel like this is what we need the most time with. But I want to just remind all of you, I am here about 20 hours a week. I have about 10 hours a week of time I'm available to kind of meet with you and go through this stuff. So it's quick today, but definitely schedule some time with me. We can do groups if you guys want to do groups, and we don't have to do one-on-one. I do have people who prefer the one-on-one, and I have people who prefer groups. So just tell me what you want. So in MLS, under your menu tab, you will see this Domus Analytics or Domus, I don't know what it's called. And this is exactly what you see when you pull it up. So this market infograph is kind of just a summary of what you will see. You can post it to social media. You can print it out as a PDF. You can mail it, email it, whatever you want to do with it. It's great. You can add it to your listing presentations. You can add it to your buyer packets. There's different forms of using it. And it's just going to be kind of like InfoSparks where you kind of manipulate it to what you're trying, the story you're trying to tell. And then none of it's manipulating data, it's just isolating it into your story. If you're talking about $400,000 to $600,000 houses, you don't want it to be $200,000 to $800,000. You know, you want to bring it in and bring it closer to what you're looking for. So you'll see how we'll work on that. But I do encourage all of you to kind of come through here and learn a little more, even after today.
Where is that at? I'm sorry, where is that at on the?
I'm so sorry. If you come here to MLS and you go to menu, it's in here. I saved it with the star, so it's on the top of my screen
Okay,
now.
great, thank you.
Sorry. Go back to where I wanted to be. Okay, so in here, we can go here to the infograph. I want to just give you a quick view of what it looked like. I don't know why I look up at the big TV instead of the one in front of my face. Okay, maybe not today. This will be fabulous. All right. For whatever reason, the internet is slow, but this is a basic market stat. This is just a report that they have that I was going to bring up just to show you. All the numbers are clearly circling, but it'll tell you an overall MLS story if you just want the market stats. But we can go in and then isolate it to St. John's and Duval. And this is going to be a really long class, guys. So one of the things you can do here is you can see there's a drop down for single family. You can also pick any of the other types of properties that you're looking for. You can also select the counties that you want. So right now, all the counties are selected. So you would go in and so let's say St. John's, just because I'm going to be in that mode. I will tell you that Howard and I see a little flaw in the region section. And even when we pick St. John's or we pick Duval, it's merging several different areas together. So you kind of still have to come in here. I unselected everything and then just kind of go down and pick your section of St. John's that you want. So I'll do the northwest corner.
Can you do subdivisions?
On this one, no.
Oh, no.
It is, there's, as I said, there's some flaws. You can also change your month. Obviously, if you're trying to show over to over, why everything else is not loading, I can't answer that for you, but it will give you the median sale price, the units sold, active inventory, days on the market, the number of listings, price per square foot. It's also giving us, what you can't see is the number of months of inventory, your absorption rate. So that's all in there. I don't know why it's not right now, but we'll kind of skip through that and go to another page. And maybe by then we will load. So one of the first ones is your market review. So we'll go in here. Hopefully it loads for you. This is going to be boring if it doesn't. I don't know why nothing is loading. This is a hardwired computer to the internet. It doesn't, but you could always go through and go into it on your phone, click into it, and then save it as a home page. So I'm going to actually go ask Keith for help. I'll be right back.
What's
But I
that?
have to put, you know, well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but for interest works for me. It's about the community.
Right,
I mean, when
that's
I
what I
walk
was
in,
just
with,
saying,
you know, I mean, that's
Because
just,
you do like zip code.
And maybe
There's a way and I just haven't found it.
I guess, but I mean.
Yeah, I haven't played with it.
That's safe, that's safe.
But she said it's supposed to replace it.
You know, like, it tracks you and if you don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that there
But
was
it's
something.
literally
that I
not.
don't-
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
But I can go to the main page.
It seemed like
It was, yeah, it was fun.
Oh, really?
I haven't used them yet.
Is this working?
Yeah, I would
So
like
go to
to.
menu real quick.
Twice.
Okay. Were you happy with the inspector?
Hit the,
Yeah.
They read their
Little star at the bottom.
announcement, it was kind of like.
this page will load.
Or
not.
All
All right, so what Aaron tries to save me, let's
Yes.
let's open our phones to Homesnap. If you don't have Homesnap, find a friend who does.
Or download the app. Clog the
Just
internet
don't
up some
download
more.
it now.
Clog up the internet. Hi, I'm done. Maybe this is why Howard was nervous today. He was so nervous about me teaching the class because he couldn't be here.
Oh my God.
Control, it's all about control.
All right, so if you open up your Homesnap and you hit the Homes button in the center,
Rick, how do you feel about it?
you will see that you can search by your city names, you can search by address, MLS number. You can also search by zip codes, and you can search by the schools. If you have someone who says, I have to be in Creekside High School, you can type Creekside High School right into that box, and everything that's currently zoned today, remember, because every year it can change, today will be in there. You can then set your filters to sort through the items that they are looking for. They have to have 3 bedrooms. They have to have, 3-car garage. Yes, sir.
It's likely to live.
You
I'll
can
tell
do
you
like
that.
neighborhood areas too, like say
Right.
Oxford Shores.
Right, yeah, you can kind of put in, sometimes it doesn't work. It just depends on how the data transfers. I just tried that with another community and it didn't come through all the way. Not everything showed up, but it is something, oh, one page loaded. So it is something you can try. You can look for sales, you can look for rentals, and you can look at all homes. And the all homes is kind of, you know, part of my
I think you just hit a momentary,
lapse of time.
yeah, just comment, where are you gonna go from here?
To the second box where it says in the
This?
red. So let's say, we'll use my address, use your address if you want. Your houses are not for sale, so, or unless they are. So mine,
I'm
you
clicking,
can use mine, it's 1109 Kingsland Court.
things are just not
It is not for sale, but if you
Opening.
do that, you'll see it pops up
clicking here, it says we're
and it
connected.
shows it's off
I don't
market.
know if that's the site itself.
So what the estimate? Yeah. I'll tell you about that. I don't love their.
This
automated
loaded after a
valuation.
while.
And I will say, there's a rapid CMA on here that I would never encourage you to do. I've tried it a couple times and it's terrible. But you will see that it's off market, and if you scroll down,
But
right,
you are likely to list.
I am likely to
Everybody
list.
else is
on everybody.
Actually, if
Usually.
so mine just switched to
Seems
likely to list in the last 2 months. I refinanced last summer, so it must have decided I've reached that number
So I don't
where
know.
it makes sense to potentially list. I will tell you that it's probably most likely to list, but they don't know that. So it will give you the information about likely to who's gonna list and not list. Underneath of that, you'll see current ownership. If you click on the person's name, it will give you some information about them.
It says call owner, SMS owner.
It does say call owner.
Can I try calling Bill?
If you go, if
This
you
is
call,
the one she
the
wants.
first number is our landline in Ohio. We've been gone for 7 years, so you know, it's probably not ours anymore. The other one is an old phone number of his, from when he worked up there. And the other mobile number is his work number up there as well. So none of those are actually accurate, which is why I kind of just wanted to use my address. But I will tell you that my neighbor's is very accurate. It is her email address and it is her phone number. So super weird, but I don't know, maybe because we moved states, some of the stuff didn't transfer.
Where is it pulling the information, do you know?
It pulls from public record. It has a whole different
I wonder if it's Domus.
AI guy out there that's looking for stuff. The Holman email address is one of my neighbors. That's on there. It's not mine. And the Comcast one is when we set up the Comcast, you know, they make you set up an email address. Not that he uses and will never see it. But I guess, like I said, some of my neighbors do show up. Funny enough, way down at the bottom, you will, I don't know if you'll see it, but there's a house, Weber Oaks Drive in Loveland, Ohio. That used to be my house. I sold it in 1990 or 2004. So it's still somehow linked to my name. So there are some weirdnesses to this, but this is something you can do if your person says, hey, I saw this house I really, really like.
He's checking on his computer to see if he can make it work. I think it's Domus. I don't think it's the internet.
It worked when I got here though.
Well, that's why I think it's Domus,
Okay.
because everybody else's internet's working, my internet's working. Other things are opening, that's the only.
Okay, well, that takes
My
30
wife's
minutes of my
phone number
class.
is on that.
Okay, I can talk about it.
We'll see, hopefully it'll fix
Okay.
itself.
My address
She's
is
gonna
not
be a
pulling
little
up.
freaked out.
Uh,
No, internet,
No,
Your address isn't pulling up?
No.
Pull up Howard's.
It is for sure for sale.
But it does give you some
I miss that
information if you
sure.
wanted to reach that house with a buyer who says, I really, really love this house. You can kind of get some information about it. You can kind of see, maybe you can reach out to that seller. My neighbor's house has her, she actually lives in it right now, but it has been rented. And it actually had her previous address in it as well, because that's how the tax records had it. So while she was back in Boston, it did show that was her mailing address. So I can tell you there is value to it. It may not be 100%. Obviously, you can go through the tax records and get some more details. But at that point, at least you would know, like in this section, Do they look like they're gonna list maybe sometime soon? You can then go through to find their mortgage records. This is kind of embarrassing. You can go- As I realize you're all on my file. But you can go through, yay!
It's Domus, it's not the internet.
Okay,
Because
good.
The same thing happened on my computer and Keith's computer. It took like 4 minutes to pull up.
Okay, perfect.
No clue why.
No clue why. Okay. But you can see that I refinanced last June for 240. Like I said, embarrassing. You now know who my lender is. So you can kind of see what I have left. It is inaccurate because it says it's a 30-year mortgage. It's a 50. But at least you kind of can see if someone is, do they have equity? Are they can you make them move? The right price, make them move. So you can get that information.
With Domus, you have to be very patient.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
don't
middle
be a-
name
don't be
is
a
not
Domus.
patient.
No, but
Yeah.
I would just tell them, if you go to that site, you have to wait for it to do its.
To calculate it.
Yeah, that's what it looked like it was doing.
I tested it when I got here, it moved a little faster, but maybe everybody else is on it, so. I think.
Thank you. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for coming by and seeing us.
But I will tell you, like, the estimated value of my house is really kind of close to this. It's about 525 to 540 is what I would list it for. It does have a little rental analysis. I'm just under 3,500, and funny enough, my neighbor is renting for that same price, so probably pretty accurate. But if you scroll down on mine, I have Commuter Times, and this is something that's really good for you to share with your buyers when you give them this app, is they can put in any address they want. It can be a school, it can be their work, it can be their family member. If they say, I have to live within 45 minutes of this, have them put it in here, because this tells me the drive time from this house, from where I am to this house. So like I have my house to here showing 9 minutes. It's not 9 minutes normally, but it shows 9 minutes. To my husband's office in the town center says 50 minutes. That's pretty accurate at Monday in the morning. My son works off of 210 and it's showing 24 minutes. It used to have Barton Trail on here, but it don't have it on there.
Can you
But-
put it backwards by chance? Like, can you put an address in and like, will it somehow pull up listings that are within, can we do it backwards somehow?
Not that I know of.
I
But you
need
said,
somebody to create that.
but if you
Yeah, right?
if you just set it in there, literally, like I had it set with my husband's work and Liddy Bartram when I was trying to move to Volano last year. And every time we would look at round table, it would be red because it was more than 60 minutes away.
Oh,
So it would alert me that this house is further than my hour mark.
okay.
And you can set that time. I set it for an hour. But it would show like Bartram at 52 minutes and it would show Bill at a shorter drive for some reason from Volano to the town center than for us over here. The other thing it does is on the property line section, if you open that up, you can see the property line. So if you have a client who says, I don't want to live against somebody, I don't want to back up to anybody, you can click it. Mine shows you I back up to someone's pool. So obviously that wouldn't be the house for them. But if you zoom out a little bit, you can see some of the other houses that might meet their requirements if you wanted to look at that. When you're at the property, if you open up this section, you can walk the property line. It'll say you ready to walk the property line and you can walk the basic property line. Obviously in a residential HOA neighborhood, it's probably less exciting, but I did sell a 14-acre property down in East Palaca and we did try it and it was pretty accurate. We found the pins and it was pretty close. So if you have one of those weird properties, you want to know the property line, you can't pull it up. So the other thing is, you all know about the camera button, what the camera button
That's
does?
the most attractive feature.
It's my favorite part. All those people who watch those HGTV shows who think that they can buy the big house up on the hill that's fancy. And you try to tell them, no, you're really in a 3-2, in Bartram Springs, you're not living in on the water. If they take this and they open up the camera, they can take pictures of houses that they like. It will pull up that house. As long as their locator's on, it will pull up that house. So there was a time when there was a unit for sale in this back building here that I could click it and it would actually pull up that building and then show the listing. But then it would show the off listings as well. So you can do it, take a picture of your house when you get home and then kind of see what it pulls up on yours. It's kind of cool. But it's actually a great function for them.
Can I say, that really is probably one of the nicest features, and letting a customer know that they can go ahead and when they're driving around, stick it in front of a house, press the button and tell them all about it is great. They love it.
I can't believe I didn't know that.
Oh, I use it all the time.
When I was looking for a house too, I was like,
You're
let me
there.
see what, I didn't know the size of the house.
Correct.
It was like a 5 bedroom, you know, and so I was like, oh, that's out of our
So-
budget.
So when we first got Homesnap, it was right before we went to Indian Rocks Beach for Christmas. And I walked up and down Beach Trail Road in Indian Rocks and I was like, and my sister who loves to live, would love to live on the beach was like, oh, wow, I can't believe they get that for that little house. And then we get to the big ones and it wasn't that much more for the big ones. But you know, it gave you the property values and that kind of stuff. So it is kind of cool. You can use it anywhere as long as they're in the Homesnap system. We did go on a boat in Clearwater and I took pictures from the back. They didn't work as well. We really need the fronts of the houses because that's what Google passes. And it uses Google to identify that house, and the Google locator is what marries them together for you. And then as you can see, like I scrolled down just and have the Fruit Cove area here, and there's a map and there's different little blue dots. If you zoom in on those blue dots, you can pull that listing up for that house. Even if it's off market. Blue is off market, green is for sale, orange is pending, red is sold. So I can pull up a neighbor's house and I can scroll through it. I don't even have to go anywhere else now to find addresses for Christmas cards because I can do it all from here. But you can find out everything you need to know about that house as well. If you scroll through down after you get, if it's for sale, you will get the agent's information. You can click on it to be able to contact them. I will strongly encourage you not to contact them through Homesnap because if they're not part of Homesnap, they're not getting your message. So capture the information and send it elsewhere. You can kind of tell if they use it because they actually took the time to put their face on there. If you see letters, definitely not using it, but I wouldn't encourage you to do that. And the other feature on here I just want to go over quickly is when you do have clients on here that you share this with them, when they want to ask you questions, they can message you in the app. When it first started in the app, I was like, that is exactly what I don't need, is another way for them to communicate with me. However, there's some cool features to it. When they send you a message, I can actually click on the picture they send me and it takes me straight to that listing. And from that listing, I can schedule showing time. I don't have to go anywhere else. I can schedule all through Homesnap. So it's super duper handy. And then there'll be a little section here, related conversations. So I actually had one where I had the related conversation with 3 different buyers at the same time. When you have the same buyer, like in the same property, you can see who it is you said and what you said to which one. So it is kind of handy. There are some agent actions that you will see in yours. They're yellow. Anything in yellow, your buyer's not seeing. So your buyer still needs to reach out to you to ask questions such as what's the HOA cost, the CDD, occupancy, whatever. But in there, you will see confidential data, including your commissions. I had someone reach out to me this way not too long ago. I opened it up, saw it was a 1% commission. I had a buyer broker agreement with them, and I immediately told them it was a 1% commission. They'd have to make up the difference. My broker agreement is only 1 1/4 or 2 1/4 if I have to make it up. So I told them they had to make up 1 1/4, but I could tell that in 10 seconds flat. I didn't show up at the house and realize it was 1%. So they knew before we went and they paid the difference. But just so you know, like the quick information for you, you don't have to go to MLS, you don't have to go to RPR, everything's in here. It's a very short, very quick version of that. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you use Pro.
Everyone uses Pro. I will, let me stop you for 1 second. You will get ads asking you, everyone has Pro. Pro is provided by MLS.
Okay.
Pro Plus, they will push for you. There are things you can do with Pro Plus. You can put out ads that way. You can do all kinds of things. They get you on a teaser for $99 for the first year.
They got me.
The second year, people were not seeing that they were getting renewal notices or never got them. And they got charged $6.99, and when they called to cancel, they said, we'll cancel you for next year, but you were still charged $6.99.
Wow.
And it was in our brokerage, but it is in other brokerages as well. So my caution is, unless you decide to use that as your lead source, stay away from the $99 teaser.
Kind of like noted, okay.
That's what we're actually
That's what I
talking
was
about.
just talking
Is
about.
it working?
Did you
So I got the renewal notice and it was like, hey, you're gonna be automatically renewed at whatever hundreds of dollars. And I, cause I bought in last year, the teaser 99.
Right.
And I was
And
like,
it's showing
please
up
don't-
again right now.
I was like, please unsubscribe me if I can't maintain my existing rate for $99. And they said, we'll honor that. And they renewed me at $100.
But you did it beforehand.
Correct.
Yeah, so we had people who got it after the mark. They saw it on their credit card statements.
What,
And so we tried to call and it was no good. So they have benefits. I mean, I did think I knew you were on there because I got something that said you were on Pro Plus. But there's some benefits. Do you want to talk about what you were able to use it
That's what I
for?
was just telling Mark was the only thing that I think this is only a Pro Plus tool, which is the heat maps. So
Yes.
if you wanted to go door knocking, you could pull the community, which at the time when I was living in Ponte Vedra was like really awesome. Because not all the information on Homesnap we all know is 100% accurate. But if I'm gonna go door knock, I'm obviously want to go through and do some little due diligence and mission plan so that I'm not just knocking on people's doors that just bought last year and have no
Right.
equity. I want to make sure I'm knocking on a home that has some equity, maybe the seller motivated to sell. So I would go through the heat maps and see who had tons of equity, and then I'd make sure I go knock on their door.
That's one of them.
Wait, that's a plus
Flashback.
feature?
It's the Pro Plus.
I think it's plus.
You can also see what agents are viewing your profile.
Yes, you can
Yeah.
see the agents viewing your
Oh.
profile.
Yeah, I don't pay for plus, and I can see that, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Especially if you do it on the computer.
On the
It's a
computer.
lot easier on the computer.
Well, I was gonna say, so there is a benefit.
I don't know if I can pull up and see in a neighborhood, like most likely, or not likely. to
So we
list.
can see that. That's
And then you
different.
pull it up, well, but it's the heat
The heat
map,
map.
and then you pull up what equity they have already in there.
Yeah. So honestly, since I've had Homesnap, I think I've only ever had this $99 thing, so I
Okay.
wouldn't know what is or isn't the feature. to
That's
be honest with you.
interesting. I'll have to look at that. I think you can look at flashback photos. That's one of them.
Yeah,
I think
Um,
that's everywhere
Yeah.
though. I think that's on standard.
Well, the flashback is not. Flashback
Flashback
is
plus.
plus.
Sometimes I can see those in RPR.
But all you gotta do is
RPR.
copy, yeah, you can go to RPR, but you can just copy the address and go to MLS, like,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of times, I will tell you, the other thing that the Homesnap does have, which is super cool, is all of you guys need to start doing it, is when you list your documents,
I don't have the problem.
is it showing up on yours?
Or I don't have the
They
problem.
must have shared, that was not originally.
And
When
on
you
it.
just go to the map on the app, it's on the bottom left.
Yeah,
there you go.
Map Pro.
That's good, that's good news, good change.
Buy the
Second
di-
one,
Buy the diapers at the 100 next year. Tim.
Oh, when you load your documents in MLS, if you're nice and you put all your stuff in there, if you do not give it a public view, we can't see it on Homesnap. If you give it a public view, it transfers over and you can see those docs on Homesnap. All the public view is allowing it to go to third-party systems, but not all third parties have the access, but Homesnap does. MLS is encouraging you to make it public, but by default, it is private. But if someone doesn't have it posted, if you just copy the MLS number, go to MLS Pro, Flex Pro, you can then get the documents. But it's easier if it's all in there in one spot. You can actually send them from Homesnap to their messenger within Homesnap, or you can text it outside. So there's benefit with that too. So all of you guys start making it public, that'll help. Obviously we have heat maps now, which is super exciting. So I'll work on that for those of you who want to learn that. Anybody have questions?
For the likely to list on that, how they know, is it just years of ownership?
So mine was very likely to list until I refinanced last year. And then I went to not likely. And then now that I'm 15, 16 months past it, I moved to likely to list. So I'm assuming it's based on your equity plus then I just refied, so there were costs involved in that. So they probably figure out mathematically it makes sense to wait, 15, 18 months. Right.
Time and loan status. So for cash people, it's probably likely.
And that's the thing, if you're probably cash, you're probably always
But
like.
then there's also, that time frame is there too.
Right. I was super surprised when I refied how mine drops. And I was showing somebody that and I noticed it dropped. And then the other day I was showing somebody else it and it moved the likely. So it's literally, I did it in June. So, you know, you're 15 months out. It must have decided I've paid enough in the fees.
You're good at telling me, Leslie, tell me.
If Leslie wants to move, Leslie has an 80-year-old 3-year-old that lives here at Westminster Woods that keeps Leslie from not moving. So.
And a bunch of 3-year-olds that live here.
We have another new agent. Her name's Natalia. She's working with Anya. And she started calling me the fairy godmother. And it was so funny. I was like, I will take that over Howard's title for me any day. So you are all welcome to call me the fairy godmother now. Because that became very funny.
Now we want to know what.
Yeah, what does Howard call you?
Well, she doesn't want us to call it.
No, it's,
Just call her the Leslie.
he literally calls me like the chief.
It's just the Leslie.
Chief instigator.
My head.
There are no other Leslies, it's just the
Chief
Leslie.
Technology Confidence Coach. That's what he calls me.
That's a lot to say.
That is a lot.
We'll call you Terry.
He calls me by the initials. I don't even know. I can't even follow. Okay, let's go back to Domus. If nobody else has any questions, if you want to play with it, seriously play with it. It is some value on the computer. I didn't load it up today. There are some things. So I've used it when I'm on the phone with somebody. Obviously, I can't play on Homesnap and that. So I've searched it. It does have similar functions. It's just easier on your phone because it's meant to be a home app. So that's on there. So here's the thing when we go to Domus, I think it's Domus. Here's the market statistics here for October. And as you will see, this was for everything, I believe, because they didn't change it. So this is all MLS. But let me see if I change something to St. John's, how fast that will be. So there we go. So you can see how the price changed pretty significantly just because I added St. John's in there. So you get your median sale price, the number of closings, 21 days on the market. We're in St. John's, we are closing higher than 100% of list price. In Jacksonville, it's about 98%. So, you know, they just show that little bit of value if you're trying to show that to a buyer, and you need to have them understand we can't just go in at list price.
And that's for single family.
This one's single family, and it has some Duval mixed into it. I'm not going to change it too much, so it stays there for you.
That's based on a year, is that 12-month rolling or something, or what, can you?
So, okay, yeah, I'm so
adjust
sorry. So this row here, the first row says it's October of 2020. This one here on the other side of the graph is September of 2021. And then this is the current month of October. It gives you a 13-month spread on that line chart is what it's showing you. So in October of 2020, we were up 17.7% in value. In September, we were only up 2.1% of that median sales price, because you see we're all the sellers started selling higher, listing higher. So you can kind of see that data. The number of units closed from October last year, we were down 23%. In September, we were only down 3%. In this month of October, we closed 514 of those. You can kind of go through different levels here. You have your closed sales at 514. Down here, it shows the new pendings are 509, new listings are 554. And at the very bottom, you see the whole county of St. John's is showing 1.5. If you clean out some of those regional areas, it actually takes you down to like 1.3, I think. So you have that data to take it. It's prettier. You just have to make sure that when you look at this market statistic one that Aaron pulled up, that got it to load, that you have to go in and fix those filters to the area that you're speaking of. And then you explain, this is a 13-month chart, and you can see the increase or the decrease based on what we're talking about. And that the months on the end is the October of 2020, then September's on the other side of that chart, and then our new stats is on the end there. Does that make sense? Yes. Let me see if I can get another one to show up now, since this one wanted to play. Again, I'm looking up there and not down here. That's the overall stat. And then this one, yeah, that was the market stat, sorry. Then the weekly trends, this one has some value too. I can actually go back and fix that other one for you now that it looks like it's loading. Here's an interesting one for you. The weekly trends will show you that the week on the left-hand side here is week of the 13th. The one in the middle is showing you comparative data on the week prior. which was the 6th of November. And the one on the right hand side is showing you the data week ending last year at this time. So last year at this time, on this particular one, which is I believe all of MLS, we were at $273,999 as a sales price. And now we're at $317,500. That's a pretty significant change. But again, this is like the all of MLS. It's not just St. John's, but it's a pretty significant change. But it does show you that this week we ended at $317,500, which is down from last week, which was $334. Now you are going to be a couple weeks behind, obviously, because all the data has to come through each time. So you'll have to kind of go through and just make sure you understand when you explain it that you don't have the current week's data. You might not even have what you consider last week's data yet. Because current will be in here. We're not changing that. I can change some filters though. You hit this little toggle switch and this will let you change your property type so we can remove out those condos and those townhomes. And as I do that, you see that number. And of course, now it's going to slow down. That number just changed from 317 to 345. If I take out all the counties and I just go back and add in St. John's, that number just went up to 500. And if I want to come here and narrow it down into the northwest corner, it went up to 519. And then you have this little section down here where I can pull this. And so if I'm only going to look at houses up to 800, I can move that slider bar there and maybe not look at the houses unless they're 500. I move that bar there. Now you have to remember to turn this toggle off so that you can see the data. But now just doing St. John's in the northwest corner gives you the week ending. Our sales price was 560. Last week, the week prior to that was 564. So we're still showing that downward turn. But last year, our sales price was 544. So we do have an increase, but this is our slower time. So those start dropping down. But you can go in and change it being from sales price to some other information that you might like to know. And let's say you want to see the price per square foot. And that's changed significantly, price per square foot. Last year we were at 178, now we're at 212. Those are all good data points for you to know when someone asks you a question and they say, I have a 2,000 square foot house, you know, what's the ballpark of my price point? You can say, well, we'll probably get you between 4 to 450. You know, you kind of randomly, without knowing too much, kind of use that price per square foot to give you a round number. We did actually end up at a higher price per square foot on the week to week, as the middle week there shows, it was 205. So even though we had less sales price, we had higher price per square foot. You can also do days on the market. So if you have to have that conversation about if you're going to sleep on this, at some point you might get this. If you're going to sleep on this, you're never going to sleep in it. And those of you who have been on the journey with me, with my son buying a house, he has to sleep on everything. And he missed every house because he slept on it. And he wanted to write on 5. He wrote on 2. And the one he actually got was the one he told me to write on while we were standing there. So he's under contract now. So that drama is over in my life. But you can see the days on the market is 23. So we are definitely dropping on that one. Last week was actually 17 days on the market. So you got to remember too, some of your areas when you have the new construction, those new construction ones that are on MLS change our data. So remember to keep that in mind as well. When they come in back on the market and they're sitting there for 254 days again, that really changed the statistics. Anybody have questions on that one? This little show filters toggle is where you go in. I'm sorry?
You can't filter out new houses or anything.
Not on this, not on this. I have not found that option. I did figure out that the little price range was there yesterday. I looked at it on Monday and then yesterday I looked at it again and I was like, oh, I didn't even notice that little line. But it did change that data. So if you're going to a house, like I have this marked between 5 and 800, and you're going to a house that's at 600, you can, talk more about the 500 to 700 houses and not have to talk about the ones that are here selling for 350. So that was actually good, but you toggle here, it says hide filters and it'll say show filters. And then your drop down here is your options. And then this was actually a really good one if you're talking to your sellers and you want to have that conversation more about listing the pricing, not too high. Like that, well, my neighbor got, this much, but they're 300 square feet smaller. You can have this conversation about, right now, we're selling more than list, but if you come in too high, you're gonna sit.
Yeah.
And why play that game? Now, back when we were doing, I did go back, some old data, like back when we were doing a little more of the auction style pricing back earlier in the summer, that was sitting about 103, 104%. So you could tell when we listed a little lower, we were getting a higher sales price and the data was showing that. But you can you can flip that kind of information on there as well. And then this one is super weird, but if you have an engineer, they will love this. I'm going to stay with Northwest St. John's just because it's easier. You guys remember what scatter plots look like? I hate
It's like a bad trip.
I used to love statistics, but this just makes me want to hurl.
Looks like your shirt.
So
It is nice.
so this is a scatter plot. I used, again, the 475 to 8. I think I used 5 to 8, but it's doing 475 to 800. And I can come in here and list like a proposed price for your sellers. So let's say we want to list at 625. And let's say they have 2,500 square feet. All right. So this scatter plot will actually show you where everything is currently marked on the system. If you move your mouse over it, you will see purples are pending and you can get an idea of the price of the house. I don't know, can you see those prices when I show you that? So that's like right here in this center spot. I'm getting closed at 585 at 209 a square foot. And then we can show those that are closer to that 600, those prices, how many are pending, how many are closed. And so when you do it this way with your proposed list price and your square footage, and you have the markings of your lowest price values and your highest, what you want to do is list in this box.
Why does it say in the purple box below pricing insights, the next one listing is higher than 55% of price and higher than 80?
That's what I was gonna say. So when you list in this one, that's saying if I list this house at 625, that means of the houses in that square footage and that basic price range, we'd be listing higher than 55% of the other houses that were on the market.
Because it hasn't changed.
I didn't click any. Well, that's because it's based on that.
Gotcha.
Listing is, so right now it's saying that my price of 625, if you look at the top, it says listing is higher than 55% of the prices and higher than 88% of the price per
Gotcha.
square foot.
Okay, so in
Because-
general, that
right.
625 at 2,500 square feet comes up with that.
Right, so if I change this to 3,000. You see the price still stayed there, but the price per square foot dropped to 46%, where we were much higher before. But then this gives you your ballpark of where you want to be. And then you can see your actives, your closed, your pendings. It gives you the median price for that, which is 585. So you can see I'm already too high. But am I too high, or do they have a pool? Do they have things that, Mac Daddy the house out? You can also see the median closed square footage is 203. And I'm clearly trying to make it higher than that. And that there are 578 selected listings that it's giving you that data from between that 500 and that 800, which probably was a little high because 625 probably shouldn't have been up to 800. But you can kind of go through this. So if you're a statistics person, this will give you that information. If you have that engineer, you talk to them on the phone, you can already tell they want data. Just go in, make it, print it out, and let them kind of go through it and think that you're all that because you had it. But that is what they call the pricing insights. That is the most complicated. If you look at this list, market review is the most simplistic, and then all the way to pricing insight is the most difficult. So I would probably encourage you to stay with market review, maybe weekly trends. Weekly trends, just if you were trying to judge why a house isn't on the market, it's been on the market too long, maybe something like that would show. But I would kind of stay more towards the market review unless you guys are really good at statistics. I thought I was until I started talking to you all, and now I feel like I'm not. So we will skip that. Any questions on that? This is literally brand new. I think it came out Monday. I walked in Monday. Howard's like, "Come here, you gotta show you this new cool thing. I need to talk about it on Wednesday." So it's super new for me too. But try to mess with it, see if it works. If it doesn't, let us know. There are some videos you can watch. I did watch them. They're like 3 seconds long and they don't really tell you much, but you can figure it out on your own because you all are pretty smart. But if you hit this little owl guy here and you click this, you can access those training videos eventually. We're going to leave that. Those of you who doesn't know new home source. Anybody not know how to use this except for Brandy? I know. I told you you're going to sit here and go. So who's used this before? Do you guys like it?
It's great for new construction.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's.
Doesn't show everything.
Exactly.
I don't use it for new construction.
Well,
It
it's
gives
meant
you
for
a
new
general
construction.
idea.
It gives you that
Right.
general idea. So it used to be really, really good. But now that the builders aren't building those spec homes or even really telling us what they have out there, it's kind of really left us with not a lot. But I will tell you, I had somebody, I told Howard it was kind of lame the other day, and he was like, "What do you mean?" So if you do the inventory home side and do like a zip code, we want to do 59, and you search it.
I usually just use it to see what neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So it has,
you can see
what
the
builders
visual
are out
of the
there.
Neighborhoods.
it's good for that. This part is what everything that is in construction in currently not necessarily in MLS, but currently noted into the system by the builders. And when you look at it, you can kind of see those black houses that you see, those are completed or near completion in the next 30 days. The shaded ones are under construction. So if you have to have something now and they really want new construction and they want to be in 5.9, those are the only 2 houses there are that are showing up on this system. Now, obviously calling the salesperson and talking to them and seeing, hey, is Susie gonna drop that house at the corner because they don't qualify anymore or whatever? But this will give you a ballpark. And if you forget which one it is, if you hover over them, it'll tell you completed, and it's even giving you a little information. So this is in Grand Creek, over there on Longleaf. And it'll give you the ballpark of your price, and it does give you a place right here. It didn't go back. It does let you here register your client if the builder is playing that way. So if you have a client going in, you can go through and register their information on New Home Source, and it should, any builder who's part of this should get a notification that that client is working with you. I had one that didn't, they claim it didn't come through, but they still let me in. But just so you know that you can register sometimes from here, but it will also tell you. So this one here in Grand Creek South, we can register their client, click it there, and it tells you what you're doing. So each builder does do something different, but if they put it in there, it's supposed to let us know. Over here, you have your view details, just like you would anything else, and it will give you all the information about the house and that kind of information you can get without having to to call them. But if you have someone who wants to come in, let's say they want to be in the Arbors in Rivertown, we can then pull this one up. Here's an Arbors in Rivertown. It's under construction. It gives you the address. So then we can call the salesperson and say, hey, what can you tell me about this house? Obviously, the house has already been picked out. It's already in some form of permitting because they know that house is going on that lot. That's really all that we can use it for too much at this point. But it used to be really good when it came to, you could find all the houses that were going to be ready in the next 90 days. It's just COVID ruined that idea for us. If we go back here, if you come here to this section here where it just says homes, if you want to know more about a community of who's building, you can kind of scroll here, see the community name and see who the builder is. In 5.9, obviously, we know most of the builders are going to be mad at me and Toll Brothers because they have that whole little section right there on Longleaf and Greenbrier. But you have the randoms here and there with the South Creek, South Creek. So you can kind of see what's up here. Does that make sense? So if you don't have this, it is through MLS. It's under the menu. You can click it. Your login should go automatically. If not, if you haven't started up an account, you might have to go in and create one, and then you'll go over it automatically. But mess with that to just kind of go through it. Hopefully it'll get more exciting soon. I had 2 different builders tell me that they have plans for mini spec homes because they're realizing that they can charge a lot more for the spec home. People coming from the north and out west, they're coming, they want in, and they don't care about the price, so they can come in, put the higher price on it, and they're doing well. So sounds like a lot of them want to kind of roll to the next, we'll be offering us 30 to 90-day closes. Any questions on that? Does anybody have anything to add about that with New Home Source? Okay. You can, in your search bar, you can use, like I use the zip code. You can also do a radius search. So you can click this and say you want to be 3 miles from that zip code. So you can then pull in some of the 92s. It's a couple, there's a new construction right here in Mandarin off of Orange Picker. So if you did one far enough from 5.9, you might get that one. Obviously, you're switching counties and that might not be as exciting for some people. All right, any questions on that? All right, so just to finish up real quick, most of you know that when I came here, Howard didn't use RPR. He never really tried it. I was a huge RPR fan. When it first came out, my brokerage sent me to go learn RPR. So I've always been an RPR lover. I do all my comps on RPR on my computer and still will. That hasn't changed. The app used to be my favorite because of a lot of stuff we can do with Homesnap. Used to be in RPR, and that was kind of our thing we could do. We could open up our RPR and say, this house isn't really working for us, and I could see everything in a half-mile radius. I could call the agent and try to get in since we were right there. All of that can be done in Homesnap now. So there's really only one thing I use it for, and most of you will think I'm a freak and I don't care. But when you open up the app and you go to the page here that says where you are, the Fruit Cove one, it will give you all the houses for sale, leases, new homes for sale, new for lease, recent solds, and distressed. It does a half-mile radius of where you are at. So this will look different here than it will at your home. But this will, if you get into practice of opening this up every day, I do it twice a day, so I'm a freak. But I know every house that goes for sale in my neighborhood before my neighbors even ask me about it, because it'll show up. I know exactly how many are there, how many are under contract, and what we're waiting to close. And I will be able to see when it closes, because I see the price. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to remember the address. I can just pull it up and know it. So my neighbors think that I study my neighborhood like insane, and all I do is open this up. So right now on my RPR app, this is the only thing that I'm a super fan of, but I will tell you there's a secondary use to it, and that is I showed houses in San Marco this weekend. I am not a San Marco person. It's just not my place. And I opened this up when I got to the street and I learned about what was for sale around there and got an idea of, by sliding to the side here, you can slide and get an average sales price, days on the market, if you slide your menu. So I was able to kind of learn about the area and feel a little more confident when I was there. I then left there and went to Arlington. And as I was in Arlington, I did the same thing, and what a difference San Marco to Arlington was. But I know a little bit about Arlington, I know a little bit about San Marco, but this made me know a lot more. And all I did was open it up. Right now, that's the only real use I have for it, because Homesnap does everything else. But if you go to your desktop, I could show you a 2-hour class on how to do your comps from there if you want to do that. Any questions on that? I do encourage you guys to know your neighborhood. You never know what neighbor is going to ask you a question. And I just had a house sell in my neighborhood that I showed the morning it went on the market, and it was under contract that night. My people had to think on it, so they will not sleep in it. So, but the first thing they said, my neighbor said is, "Oh my gosh, tell me about that house. What do you know? What do you know?" As soon as I came home, and I was like, "Well, I know I didn't have a chance to submit an offer on it yet, and it's under contract." So, it will make you look like you know your stuff. And obviously knowing your stuff is key to being successful. Anybody have any other questions? You can be about any of the other ones too, if you have any other weird ones. All right, flow plan. Sorry, I did not talk about flow plan. Flow plan, you have that little flow plan map. There is a video for how to use it. If you want to watch it, I can put it on while you guys look at it. I did it last night at my own house. Of course, now they want money to print it, but you literally hold your phone like this and it tells you to walk. You create it, everything has the lights have to be on. But you walk, it tells you if you're not keeping your phone to the 8 feet in front of you on the floor, you don't need to go up. They don't need to know what your cabinets look like. They need the floor. Light was important. When I opened up a door, so I had something obstructed because the light wasn't on. So, it's important, turn on your lights, walk around the house. It literally took me, I have 2,800 square feet, had to go up 17 steps in it. And it took me 3 minutes to do my whole house. And that's
Furniture, does furniture get in the way?
it doesn't, as long as you stay on the floor. And it's the way you hold your phone, and it will yell at you if you do it wrong.
Like beds.
It does. I
It
don't
says
know.
point down. What's that?
It tells you to hold it like this, so it must know to move that for the distance. But then you will get this pretty little map. Howard just did this one. He sent it to me after he left because he needed to have something to contribute today. So this just shows you like it. I didn't open up my walk-in closet on the one because I have 2 and the one was closed. I didn't open it, so it won't register that closet. So I want to redo mine, obviously, I'm gonna pay for it. But it does show your windows, it shows the sliding glass doors. And the key from what I figured out yesterday is when I started at my door and I went into my office, when I came back out was to show where I came back so it could restart and reconnect it. It's kind of like when I did Matterport, it was the same way, you kind of always had to have it so that it connected in the same spots, and that was key. I've tried to use this on a couple of my last listings, but everybody had their floor plan already, so it hasn't been necessary. And one of my photographers actually does this too, so I don't have to do it then. But it's super easy, so that's why I did it last night. You can try yours as a sample as well. They had a 2-for-1 deal right now. I think you paid for 2 and you get 1 free or something.
And don't use dimensions.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Don't use dimensions because if they're inaccurate, that's on you. That goes into your errors and omissions. And how much is our deductible? 5,000. I heard Howard say that the other day and I was like, I hate that number. So just remember, no reason to put that on there. If someone asks you for them, then I don't have them. All right, go eat.
Thank
Thanks for coming.
you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was really slow at the beginning.
Domus thing, the whole overview. Oh, can we turn this off?
Yes, because you're on it now. Bye, guys.
Bye, thank you.
Like,
Bye. Okay.
because I was trying to figure out how to read that.
And Goodbye.